All right, guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing part 3 of our lesson on commas with coordinate adjectives. Today we're going to be on page 248. I'm going to make a note of that at the top of the video in case you need to look. We are on page 248. At the very, very back of our workbook where the language standards are. So today we're going to be doing more practice using commas with coordinate adjectives. But the first thing I need us to do, since this is part 3 of our little 3-day lesson on coordinate adjectives, is I need you to rewrite the title of our lesson up at the top of your page, and we have plenty of room this time. So, commas with coordinate adjectives. Okay, so next let's go ahead and break down our title and we can get started on practice. So commas. So we know what a comma looks like, right? And we know you use a comma when you need to separate something within the sentence or whenever you need a pause or a break within the sentence. All right, and then we know an adjective does what? An adjective describes a noun, right? So, I'm going to make a note of that down here. A coordinate adjective, that's whenever you have 2 or more words that are describing the same noun. So, I'm going to go ahead and make us a few notes. So when we have 2 or more adjectives describing a noun, we know that they can be reordered and it still makes sense. So we know we can flip-flop the order of the adjectives and it make perfect sense whenever you do that. And we know that coordinate adjectives have to be separated by a comma. So you throw a comma in between coordinate adjectives to separate them because they can't be smushed together without that comma. All right, so now that we have broken apart our title, kind of refreshed ourselves on commas with coordinate adjectives, we are ready to look at our directions for the independent practice. So for numbers 1 through 5, choose the answer that best shows how the underlined part of the sentence should be rewritten. If the sentence is already correct, choose D. All right, so we know that we are going to have to look at sentences down below. It's going to have an underlined part for us, and we're going to have to figure out how to rewrite that underlined portion using our commas with coordinate adjectives. And if it's already correct, guess what? We just get to choose answer choice D, but it's not always that easy. We got to think about it first. So this is independent practice. So this is a chance for you to kind of do it on your own and see what you know. And then we're going to come back and go over them together. So what I want you to do is pause the video, take a few minutes, go through numbers 1 through 5, see what you can do, and we're going to come back and check your answers. Okay, so go ahead, pause the video, work through them, and then come back. All right, so guys, I'm assuming that you have worked through numbers 1 through 5 already, and you're feeling good. You're ready to check your answers. So let's see what you've got. So let's look at number 1 first. So photographers took pictures of bearded Union generals posing for the camera. All right, so bearded Union generals. This is the portion of the sentence that is underlined for us. So we need to figure out how it should be rewritten. Whether or not these are coordinate adjectives and do they need that comma or is it correct as it is? So I'll go ahead and tell you the correct answer is A. So if you got it correct, give yourself a pat on the back. Good job. Now, if you didn't get it correct, I'm about to explain to you why A is the correct answer and the others are wrong. So photographers took pictures of bearded Union generals posing for the camera. So if you think back to part 2 of our video, we had a hint. And that hint told us that we could put the word and in between coordinate adjectives in place of a comma and it makes sense. Now, if you can't fit the word and in there and have it make sense, those are not coordinate adjectives, and you don't need that comma because coordinate adjectives, they got to be separated with a comma. So, let's look through this and see what we need to do. I'm going to circle our comma here so we can pay extra close attention to it. So I'm going to put the word and in between bearded and union and see what happens. So photographers took pictures of bearded and union generals posing for the camera. Okay, so we know what's being described is the generals, right? So the generals are they're the ones being described. So they're Union generals and they're bearded, right? So if we put the word and in between bearded and Union, it makes it sound like the photographer's taking pictures of two groups of people, bearded people and Union generals. And that's not what it means. It means that the Union generals have beards. So the best thing for us to do is take out this comma altogether, because those are not coordinate adjectives. So we do not need the comma. Now, answer choice B has a comma between union and general. Now, we wouldn't put a comma between union and general, right? Because general is not even an adjective. Generals are nouns. So we know that B cannot, we know that B cannot be correct. Answer choice C only has the comma between union and general. So we already know that's an issue. And we know based on what we just practiced with with using our hint from part 2 of the video with the word and, that this is not correct because they're not coordinate adjectives. So the correct answer is A. All right, so let's move on to number 2. Courageous, loyal foot soldiers were also photographed on the battlefield. So, the section of the sentence that we have to see if it needs to be written is courageous, loyal foot soldiers. So, if you said answer choice B, you're correct. Good job. All right, so now let's kind of talk through it and discuss how B is correct and the others are incorrect. So, what is our noun that's being described? The foot soldiers, right? So the courageous describes the foot soldiers, and loyal describes the foot soldiers. So we need to figure out, are courageous and loyal, are they coordinate adjectives? Do we need to insert a comma between them? The easiest way to find out is to use our little hint using the word and. So courageous and loyal foot soldiers were also photographed on the battlefield. So that works. So remember, we can also reorder coordinate adjectives and have them still make sense. So let's do that test and see if it works as well. Loyal, courageous foot soldiers were also photographed on the battlefield. Well, guess what? That works too. So we know that there has to be a comma between courageous and loyal because those two are coordinate adjectives and they must be separated with a comma. So we know just based on the fact that they're coordinate adjectives that this sentence is not correct, right? So let's talk about A next. Answer choice A. So courageous, loyal, comma, foot soldiers. So we know that the comma is between our noun and our adjective loyal. So we don't need a separation between loyal and foot soldiers, right? Because it's telling us that the foot soldiers are loyal. So we don't need that comma. That comma is useless to us. So let's look at answer choice C. We've got commas between courageous and loyal, and then another comma between loyal and foot soldiers. This one, errors all over the place, guys. We don't need those. We don't need this extra comma here, this extra comma. That's a pain in our foot, right? So we do not need that. So I'm going to cross out answer choice C. So the only one that works is answer choice B. All right, so let's look at let's look at number 3 next. So images were taken by special roving camp photographers who traveled with troops. So special roving camp photographers, that is our section of the sentence that we have to see if it needs correcting. So, actually, this one is perfect as it is. So if you said answer choice D, You got it right. So good job. This one did not need any commas added. I didn't have commas for us to take out. So we didn't have anything to worry about with this one. But in case you were curious, we'll go over it and make sure that we understand why answer choice D is the correct answer. So let's look at A first. We've got a comma between special and roving. So we know that it's describing the camp photographers, but let's try our trick with the word and. So the images were taken by special and roving camp photographers. So that makes it sound like we have two different types of camp photographers. It makes it sound like we have special ones and roving ones, when in fact we don't. There are only the special roving ones, they're not special and roving, it's just one. So this makes it sound like there are two, so we don't need that comma. So answer choice A is incorrect. Let's look at answer choice B next. We've got a comma between roving and camp. So let's just throw in our word and in between roving and camp and see what happens. So special roving and camp photographers. So whenever you add the word and where this comma should go, it makes it sound like roving is a thing all its own and the camp photographers are a thing all of its own. So it makes it sound like there's something called a special roving, and that's not what we need. So this comma is a no-go as well. So that's why answer choice B is incorrect. So answer choice C has commas between special, roving, and camp. So we've got two commas here. So let's talk about why this is wrong. And just to show you, I'm going to use our hint again because to me it's the easiest way to test whether or not they're coordinate adjectives. So I'm going to throw in our word and where these commas are and see how it sounds. So images were taken by special and roving and camp photographers. Well, instead of two things, that makes it sound like we've got three things. It makes it sound like we've got something special, something roving, and then we've got camp photographers. And that just does not work for us, guys. So we don't need either of those commas, and answer choice C is incorrect. So answer choice D is the only one that works because this is perfect as it is. It didn't need us to do any work on it. All right, so let's go ahead and look at number 4. When soldiers died, photographs provided cherished mementos for proud, loving family members. So, proud, loving family members, this is the section of the sentence that we need to double check to see if we need to correct. So, if you said answer choice C, you've got it. Answer choice C is our correct answer. We've got our comma in between proud and loving, and we took out the comma after or in between loving and family members. So we are describing the family members with proud and loving, right? So if we put the word and in between proud and loving, that tells me that the family members were two things. They were proud and they were loving. So they were both. And throwing the word and in between proud and loving, it works. You can also reorder loving and proud before family members. So you could say they provided cherished mementos for loving and proud family members or loving proud family members, and it works perfectly. So we know that proud and loving, those are coordinate adjectives. So they have to have a comma. Answer choice A, that one doesn't have a comma at all. So we know that answer choice A is incorrect because there's got to be a comma between proud and loving because that's the rule with coordinate adjectives. You have to have that comma in between them for it to be correct. And answer choice A, no commas. Answer choice B has the comma between loving and family members. So let's throw in our word and see how it works with that one. So provided cherished mementos for proud, loving, and family members. Well, that makes it sound like proud, loving is one thing and family members is a total different thing. So this comma in between loving and family, that makes no sense. So we actually cannot have that comma. So answer choice B is incorrect also. Now answer choice D, we've kind of already touched on it because we know that this is not correct as it is, right? Because we have to get rid of the comma between loving and family. because those are not coordinate adjectives, so they do not need that comma. So answer choice D is incorrect as well. All right, last one, guys, and we'll be finished. So, photographer Alexander Gardner provided the first prolonged coverage of the war. So, first prolonged coverage. That's the section of the sentence that we are trying to rewrite if necessary. So, if you said answer choice B, you're going to be correct. Answer choice B, this is our answer. So, answer choice B gets rid of the comma between first and prolonged. So, you actually don't need that comma. If you put the word and where that comma goes, it does not make sense. Let's try it and see. Alexander Gardner provided the first and prolonged coverage of the war. So that makes it sound like first is one thing and prolonged coverage is something different. But he did the first prolonged coverage, right? He didn't do two things. He did one, the first prolonged coverage. So we know that we have to get rid of the comma between first and prolonged because they are not coordinate adjectives. So that kind of tells me why answer choice A is incorrect because it has a comma between first and prolonged. And we know that these two are not coordinate adjectives. And on top of that, it has a comma in between prolonged and coverage. And you can't say Alexander Gardner provided the first prolonged and coverage of the war. You can't throw an and in there. So, answer choice A, totally wrong, totally incorrect. So, next, let's look at answer choice C, which has a comma in between prolonged and coverage. So, we just said that you can't put the word and between prolonged and coverage because they're not coordinate adjectives. So this one is incorrect. It did take away the comma between first and prolonged, which is nice, but it added a comma that we didn't need between prolonged and coverage. And based on everything that we've talked about, we know that answer choice D is incorrect because this one puts the comma between first and prolonged, right? So we know that with that comma there, if it was correct, they would be coordinate adjectives, but they're not coordinate adjectives, right? So answer choice D is wrong because this is not correct as it is. So answer choice B is the only one that works because it's the only one that has no commas in that section of underlined sentence. So hopefully you're feeling pretty good about coordinate adjectives. If you have questions about anything we talked about today, guys, or questions about coordinate adjectives in general, make sure that you ask those questions before we take our quiz on Friday. That way I can help you out because that's what I'm here for. I want to see you be successful with this. So if you have questions, please let me know. Shoot me an email, comment on Google Classroom because I will do anything I can to make sure that you understand this. All right. Well, I will sign off and I will talk to you guys later. Hopefully, you get this. If not, like I said, let me know. And good luck on this section of your quiz on Friday. I'll see you later, guys.